Hey, Curtis.
Hey, Oz.
What are you bringing to the table this week?
This week we've got Lethal Weapon meets Police Academy 4 crossed with Troop Beverly Hills. This week we're watching National Lampoon's Loaded Weapon 1.
The Lethal Weapon was a gimme. Like that
was a gimme. Yes.
And not even the first Lethal Weapon, the entire Lethal Weapon series.
All the Lethal Weapons,
True Beverly
the TV
Hills.
Show, yeah.
True Beverly Hills was actually it was wrapping up on Pluto last night.
Yeah,
my wife and I were just flipping through, and it was almost over. And when it ended, the song that came on like fired the synopsis in my wife's brain, and she's like, "Where do I know that song from?" I'm like, "Well, True Beverly Hills." She goes, "No, somewhere else." Like it was like it's like this really odd Beach Boys song. It's like "Go All the Way" or something like that. It doesn't really fit like that Beach Boy vibe, but you could tell it's the Beach Boys that are trying to be more contemporary for the late 80s.
Sure.
So
Shelley Long commissioned the Beach Boys to write a song.
I did. My sister watched that a lot growing up, so there's a soft spot in my heart for True Beverly Hills. It's not a bad movie. It's a fun one.
No, it's fun. So. Yeah, True Beverly Hills. And I know Patreon subscriber Melissa L. also has a soft spot for that movie.
Fair enough. Welcome back, listeners and viewers, to another week of Let's Talk About Flicks, the weekly podcast where we take a monthly theme and talk about it annually. I'm one of your hosts, Oz.
I'm the other host, Curtis.
And we are back this week, week 2 of Guilty Pleasure Month, which has been, it's already been a guilty pleasure in its own right. But, and that's just 1 week.
Yeah, I had a great time with Chopping Ball last week.
Yeah, well, it's like, and it spreads out too, because like you texted me earlier, or the other day that, like a friend of yours that has a horror podcast listened to our Chopping Ball episode, and it's like, I don't know, it's just cool. It's just cool.
We're officially big time now.
We're big time. Other podcast hosts have listened to our show. 2 actually, because we do want to give a shout out to Patreon subscribers Don S, Melissa L, Aaron A, and Mandy K. Thank you for your monthly patronage. Don S himself is a renowned host. Podcast host. They just hit episode 100 over there at Cinephile.
I saw that. Congrats to Cinephile Hissy Fit.
Yeah,
on hitting the big 100.
We'll be there in a few months, as we are in episode 71. This is episode 71.
Haven't said this in a while. On the road to 70,000.
70,000. So here we are. We're making reference to a friend of yours listened to our show. I saw today that Don S., who is a Rotten Tomato, he's a Rotten Tomato reviewer, that he posted his most recent episode on Jim Gaffigan's new movie on Twitter, and Jim Gaffigan liked it. So
I also saw that as well.
So we're not quite at the Patreon subscriber Don S. level of stardom yet. But Jim Gaffigan, if you know what, when I post this on Twitter, I'm just going to tag Jim Gaffigan anyway.
Yeah. That makes sense. He's liking everything these days, folks.
He has got nothing to do with the movie we're talking about today, but I'm still going to tag him just to see if he gives us a like back. I may even reference Don too. Hey, you liked one of our friends' posts. How about it like ours?
Spread some love over this way too.
Come on, Jim Gaffigan.
Several years ago, I think this might have been during the pandemic when I'm bored and trying to drum up, momentary fun. I took a recording of my then 4-year-old daughter singing the Eggs, Bacon, and Toast song from Parks and Recreation, which Jim O'Here's character Jerry Gergich sings in the show with Christy Brinkley, his wife, and his immaculate family. And I tweeted that video at him, and he liked it and commented on it.
Ooh, so nice.
That's my Twitter brush with celebrity.
Well, you and I, we have seen and met our fair share of celebrities,
yes,
most of them, understandably so at conventions or whatever. But
Yes.
there in our college days, we did get to hang out with MTV VJ Dave Holmes for an afternoon.
We did. We spent a whole day with Dave Holmes, the Dave Holmes,
the Italian shoe wearing that looked like bowling shoes, Dave Holmes,
in Macomb, Illinois,
the place he wanted to be. But it is important to remember, and I know you know this too, that it's like they're just people.
Yeah.
They're just people with cool jobs, that. And I
always appreciated how we would interact with them as well.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
Hey, Dave.
And I think some of them, honestly, and we've talked about this at length before, I do believe some of them appreciated being treated like people.
As opposed to, being fan worshipped.
Right, because I remember the fond couple of minutes we shared with Bruce Campbell in Baltimore.
Yep.
Because we were the only people there that were not wearing black T-shirts. We were wearing polo shirts, and we just chatted him up. And the schmo that was working the convention was like 30 seconds in and out, and he was like, "Who's a celebrity here, knucklehead?" And just sat with us because we just talked to him.
Yeah, I think it was a nice change of pace for him. I think he appreciated the oasis that we represented.
Right, it's finally somebody that's not just gonna like mouth breathe their passion for me. And so we had a really good time that convention. We met Linda Blair, we met Michael Berryman.
That was a fun time.
D. Wallace Stone was out there. And then of course there's the time that we had the honor and privilege to drive Lloyd Kaufman around Chicago.
Yes.
Trauma founder. And for those that aren't Trauma fans, production location manager for the original Rocky movie. But it's again, like he was just a dude. He was just a cool guy.
Just a tiny guy. Tiny D-list filmmaker.
Yeah, but you know what? He was a lot of fun.
He was a lot of fun. And we were a lot of fun too.
We were. We did have a lot of fun. We really got into that a lot further than we planned on. We're like, we'll help out Trauma. Let's, and we figured they'll have us like at the gate or whatever. It's like, hey, here's a Toxie and Kabuki mask. Throw them on and dance around. Okay.
Hey,
we gotta sit right next to Lloyd
we got the watch Toxie 4 with Lloyd Kaufman.
Yeah. And right next to him in a sold out theater. It was us. So ladies and gentlemen, if you're listening, reach out to your favorite celebrity. They're just people.
Yeah.
Like, you treat them like people, they'll treat you like people. Yeah. So
reach out to Johnny Depp. Look in his window at night.
Yeah. Just treat him like you treat anybody else, you peeper.
Yeah.
But anyway, we are not.
You peeper.
We are here this week to talk about National Lampoon's Loaded Weapon 1, your guilty pleasure, your first guilty pleasure choice for the month.
I love this movie so much.
I also love this movie.
This is what, again, it's as we've talked about before, how I define my favorite movies are just they're endlessly watchable. If it's on and I scroll to it, I'm finishing it. And this is one of those movies. Yeah,
I agree. And it's a shame this movie wasn't bigger than it was, because it should have been bigger than it was. It's hilarious. It is like star packed. It was in a weird window though. It hit that where movies like Airplane and Naked Gun, the original Naked Gun, were already in the rearview mirror. So now they're making Naked Gun sequels, which just weren't as good.
Yeah,
so
funny, but not quite capture the magic of the first one.
So I think the public was getting a little worn out on this satire spoof kind of film. Mel Brooks was kind of in a lull as well. But then it's like, it was before You're Not Another Teen Movie trash. So it's just, it found a weird time slot, that it's kind of like that like great sitcom that's on Fridays at 8,
exactly.
that nobody watches, but in hindsight, you're like, man, what a great movie. This is such a fun movie.
Yeah.
Before we get to the plot, it's your plot. I'm gonna run through a character list real quick. And so we have two main characters, Riggs and Murtaugh. No, I'm kidding.
Basically.
Colt and Luger. Emilio Estevez is Sergeant Jack Colt, and Samuel L. Jackson, a young Samuel L. Jackson.
Yeah, early career Sam Jackson.
Yeah, not quite coming to America robbing a McDowell's
not
Samuel L.
early.
Jackson. Yeah. Not a sticking up Louis Anderson Samuel L. Jackson, but playing Sergeant Wes Luger. We also have Kathy Ireland as Miss Destiny Demeanor. We've got the angry, yelling all the time police chief Frank McRae as Captain Doyle, and then we've got our bad guys. Our main bad guy is William Shatner. He's General Mortars.
Yep.
And his right hand man, Mr. Jigsaw, played by Tim Curry, he's the Mr. Joshua of the movie.
Yes, he is.
We've got John Lovitz playing Joe Pesci.
Oh, boy, do we have John Lovitz.
And then just rolling through some, I'm just going to, not really cameos, but I'm going to roll out some other people in here. And some of them stood the test of time. Some of them live in this time capsule.
Yes, definitely.
You've got Dennis Leary, F. Murray Abraham, Ken Ober, Lynn Shay. You got James Doohan playing Scotty. You got Eric Estrada and Larry Wilcox from Chips. Corey Feldman, Whoopi Goldberg, Paul Gleason, Phil Hartman, Richard Mole, Rick Dockerman, from The Burbs. Robert Shea, which just a real kind of creepy cameo, Robert Shea. Bruce Willis, Denise Richards, Dr. Joyce Brothers.
Yes.
This movie. Christopher Lambert is in a deleted scene. Yep. Charlie Sheen's in the movie. It's just people all over the place in this movie.
A cardboard cutout of Larry Bird.
Exactly. I mentioned that comes up in one of my goods in a moment.
I will say more.
But honestly, the budget, this wasn't a flop. I mean, the budget was $8 million. It was a $51 million box office.
I didn't even look at the box office.
Yeah, it made 6 times its money back. But again, it's in that weird time zone. Came out in February of '93. Yeah. So February is kind of a dumping ground, and '93 was nobody's favorite year.
And a couple of months before,
I don't know.
Trying to remember what like a pre-steroids Mark McGuire. I don't know.
Right.
Or probably mid-steroids Mark McGuire.
Yeah.
Other
movie. Yeah, go ahead. Other movies that came out in '93, real quick. Popular movies of '93. Falling Down, Robin Hood Men in Tights, Last Action Hero, The Sandlot, Mrs. Doubtfire, Son-in-Law, Dazed and Confused, the second Addams Family movie, my favorite comedy of all time, Coneheads, Groundhog Day, Demolition Man, Cliffhanger, The Fugitive. One of those movies that honestly it was a solid year for movies that was going to get lost. So the first Leprechaun movie. So.
Was Jurassic Park? It was 90. Yeah, that was 93. So this movie was just a couple of months before Sam Jackson really kind of hit mainstream and hit the big time with Jurassic Park. Hold on to your butts.
You just took it from me. That's what Sam Jackson was going to tell us before his career launched.
Exactly.
Hold on to your butts.
Hold on to your butts.
Because the dude has not stopped.
No, and he still goes like the Energizer Bunny to this day.
So, all right, well, that's it for the characters. Like I said, I've mentioned them all.
Well, the layered plot of this movie, I can probably rattle off in about 30 seconds.
Let's see. Let's see if you could.
Here's the plot: two cops, they're lacing Wilderness Girl cookies, and it's over.
Yeah, it's watch Lethal Weapon, and it's it's the same thing, only with cookies. Oh, I love this movie.
This movie is so great. By the way, folks, if you're a fan of podcasts where two idiots just laugh at jokes they see in a movie, that's pretty much what the next several minutes are going to be. So we open this esteemed opus, Loaded Weapon.
Saxophone opening.
Yes, we got saxophone guitar playing while Colt is recklessly driving his car that's billowing smoke everywhere. Screeches up to a mini mart. and let the sight gags begin. As he gets out, and you just see a shot of a foot exit the car, puts out a cigarette, puts out a cigar, and then puts out and crushes a pipe. That is this movie, folks. That's the kind of movie this is. He walks into the mini mart. We now get the interior shot of him entering, and of course, there's smoke billowing and light behind him. So we get, for the second straight week, we get a James Cameron shot.
Oh yeah, gotta love a James Cameron shot.
One of my favorite, really subtle, stupid sight gags in this movie is right away after he walks in. They're to this mini mart, and there's a dad and maybe like an 10-year-old boy who are just leaving the counter. The dad has just purchased his son a beverage, and it is an wrap your arms completely around turbo chug. I'm guessing it was somewhere in the range of 2,084 ounces.
Yeah, it was the whole keg.
Yeah, it was him. I mean, the thing had to be 3 feet tall and a couple of feet wide. And again, stupid.
I know,
joke,
but that's why it's so fun.
Yeah. The very friendly clerks talk to Colt. Nice weather we are having, and of course he's a dark, brooding cop. Riggs from Lethal Weapon. You think we're having nice weather? So the most inane topic, talking about the weather, and he goes off on him. We get another gag. He picks up a magazine while he's making like a breakfast burrito, and all of the the mail-in inserts fall out to it, and eventually he steps out, and they're piled up to his knees.
As he's looking at him, you've got about 6 security cameras on sticks pop up behind him just to see what he's looking at. As he turns his attention to them, they all look away.
They all, oh. Yeah.
I wasn't looking at you.
Two other guys walk in. They go to buy pantyhose, and then while they're there, they put the pantyhose over their heads and stick the place
and rob the place. Yeah.
Of course. Then we realize that Colt is a cop. He pulls his gun, and an incredibly dumb shootout.
Oh yeah, I love the repetitive joke of any time he really pulls his gun to shoot, he lays on the ground and just rolls as he's shooting. But because he does it here and he does it again later when he comes into his house, when Destiny Demeanor is there unexpectedly, he starts rolling across the floor and firing away.
Exactly. And this scene ends after this incredibly dumb firefight in the middle of this mini mart. It ends with him, Colt, jumping out from behind like a barricade of kitty litter that he's put up, with an automatic machine gun, and blasts both of these guys, who then go flying through the windows of the store, through the main window entrance. And for about 10 seconds or so,
he checks his watch.
They hang in the air. He finishes his Slurpee while they're doing backflips and triple gainers, synchronized flips, a la it reminded me of in Commando, the big scene. Where he's just mowing guys down, and they're all doing the chicken dance, and he'll launch a mortar, and a guy will run up and jump into an obvious trampoline, and then do 3 front flips.
We've got Carrie Strug and Dominic Moceanu as the stunt people in this scene.
We then cut to a house, and we know it's a house because at the bottom of the frame it says a house. Where Sergeant Billy York is hiding out. Sergeant Billy York, played by the one and only Whoopi Goldberg. Whoopi Goldberg. She's just getting done leaving a message for Luger, saying she thinks they're onto her. A wilderness girl van, so very Girl Scouts, pull up, and we see a what we believe to be is a young girl. We kind of see from knees down, kind of skipping up the sidewalk to the door. The girl then coughs and puts out a cigarette on the ground, rings the doorbell. Sergeant York, Whoopi Goldberg, goes to answer it, and you see the point of view shot through the peephole.
Yeah.
of a completely bearded Tim Curry.
Right, with pigtails.
With blonde pigtails and a man-sized like Girl Scout outfit on, just go right into the camera and go, "Wilderness girls."
Wilderness.
And of course, she opens the door, but not just one door, Oz.
Like 7 doors.
She has several doors, including like submarine like hatches.
Right.
And then
the
there's
final door is just beads.
Beads, yeah. She has to part the beads. So she lets in who is clearly Mr. Jigsaw, Tim Curry's character. They pull guns, or he pulls a gun on her. He takes off his wig. She takes off her wig. He takes off his bra. She pulls a pair of tube socks out of her pants. So just one-upping each other. He asks, "Where is the microfilm?"
Microfilm.
Where's the microfilm?
Microfilm.
And completely and obviously telegraphing to the audience, she says out loud, "The microfilm that has the recipe to turn cookies into cocaine."
This is straight out of like a Looney Tunes gag, and
Yeah.
I've always loved it when like Bugs will give a very specific reference to what Elmer Fudd's asking about, and then go, "I don't know what you're talking about." And that's what she pulls here. He goes, "Yes." She goes, "I don't know what you're talking about."
I don't know anything about it. She had by the way, she had hidden the microfilm behind a picture of her and a young Luger, because they used to be partners, on the wall. He then shoots her after he gets some information. He gets a name from her. Talk to this person. And as she's dying on the ground, he turns around several times to ask her a series of follow-up questions. Is that Ed McCracken or Mike McCracken?
It's shooting her after each question.
Yeah, after every question. Does he live on Alpine or Oak?
You want to park a couple blocks down, you'll never find parking on Oak or Alpine.
Oh, I love it. We cut to the next day. We have a station wagon driven by Sam Jackson's Wes Luger pulling up to a crime scene. And Oz, again, the background sight gags in this movie just never stop.
No. And they're effective.
Yes. And they're pointless, but they're so funny. Like,
right.
He pulls up and he walks into this crime scene, and the house where York was. There's an ice cream truck out there in front of the crime scene. Yeah. There's a hot dog cart. There's a guy on a skidoo.
There's a car transport truck.
Yeah.
Because as he's pulling up, he's swerving around, your ambulance, your police, your fire department. And then, that's when all of these just, extraneous vehicles are just parked out front.
We then get, was it Proctor? Was that his character from the Police Academy movies?
Yeah, it was Proctor.
Proctor! And we get a Head and Shoulders bit.
Right. What you got, Irv? Oh, dry itchy scalp.
Try this.
And he's clearly a detective on a crime scene. So it's they just lay the gag out because they put everything in a setting that would make sense with that question, and then give just he's scratching his head. What you got there, Irv? Dry itchy scalp.
Scalp.
So he just reaches in and pulls some Head and Shoulders. Well,
try this.
Well, Sarge, you don't have dandruff. Exactly.
I know. Bill Nunn is there. He takes Luger's picture. Yeah. You think he's taking crime scene photos, but he just he takes Luger's picture and asks if he wants it
glossy or matte. Yeah.
Dr. Joyce Brothers is there as the coroner.
Right.
She says York's death is a suicide. And as they roll her over, Luger says she must have caught herself by surprise. She has a surprised look on her face. Oh, she must have caught herself by surprise. We're at 15 minutes in. I know. Cheers. He looks at the picture of himself and York, takes it off the wall, does not see the microfilm behind it. And then as he goes to leave, we go back to Herb. We go back to Proctor from Police Academy. And of course, he's scrubbing the shampoo into his hair. Hey, Sarge, it's tingling.
That's how you know it works.
So dumb.
Oh, I love it.
We then go back to Colt. We get to kind of meet him a little bit more than the mini mart. He's on the beach in front of his trailer. He's smoking a cigarette, and he flicks it into the sea, and it exploded. It just explodes. It inexplicably explodes.
Right.
He then enters his trailer because, again, he's the Martin Riggs character from Lethal Weapon, so he lives in a trailer by the beach.
Right.
And of course, it's this epic mansion on the inside.
Yeah.
There's columns everywhere. He has like a full bar. Yeah.
Beautiful place.
He makes himself a drink using all of the alcohol as well as chocolate syrup.
Yeah.
And then just puts it back. Just chugs the whole thing. Holds up a picture of Claire. He really misses Claire, Oz.
We don't see Claire yet.
No. We just see him holding the picture.
Yeah.
Oh, Claire, I don't know what to do without you. I can't go on. It's a picture of his dog, Claire.
Yeah, it's his dog.
I mean, he's allowed to be sad, but it's his dog.
Well, and it's funny because it's one of those rare occasions where we meet the punchline before we meet the setup. Because the whole rest of the movie is we know that Claire's the dog, but nobody else does. The way he talks about her, everybody just assumes it's his ex or his wife or whatever. And then of course he's describing her as like, oh, the way she used to, lick my toes, and you just get side looks. But of course it's a dog, so it's normal behavior for us.
When Claire was mad at me, she'd poop in my shoe. What kind of partner did you have? So we get to know a little bit more about Colt. We go back to Luger. He's showing up for work at the police station, and Lynn Shay is outside. And I love this gag so much. She's giving the description of a perp,
right?
And you think that she's talking to like a sketch artist, and the sketch artist is actually constructing Mr. Potato Head.
Yeah, exactly. He's building it.
Yeah. Then the captain enters. The captain, and he's just screaming nonsense. Oh yeah, he's just like tough guy, like dirty, hairy, police captain.
Just that angry, yelling police sergeant or police chief or whatever.
There's a full breakfast bar there. He goes up to the cappuccino machine and he starts screaming at Scotty, "Can't you get this to work?" And of course we get the we get the Star Trek cameo there.
Yeah.
He reveals to Luger that the cookies found at York's death scene were laced with cocaine, which Luger then responds with, "No wonder I couldn't eat just one." Luger says he wants the case, but you're days from retirement, Luger.
Of course he is.
You don't want this. and then the captain, of course, starts laying into Luger because that's what he does. If you embarrass this department, your pants will be dancing with figs. You understand? Everything except for the pants fig thing.
Oh man, is this about the time where he sees Colt propped up against the desk, lighting a cigarette?
Yep. Captain tells Luger, "You got a new partner," and then we get the call back to the Lethal Weapon scene. Where Riggs is kind of like cleaning his gun or something, and Murtaugh dives at him. As you said, Colt's there. He lights up a cigarette, and Luger just cigarette. And I love Emilio Estevez's reaction.
Oh yeah,
it just gets just like a wide-eyed, like just slack jawed.
Before he performs an arm drag takeover.
He takes down
slams
Luger.
him to the ground. Meet your new partner.
Exactly. Somebody runs up to Colt, takes the cigarette out of his mouth, and throws it away. And then we get another Lethal Weapon reference here. A psychologist walks up to Colt, says, "Captain, you can't seriously be thinking about putting this man in the street. He's gun happy." To which Colt then takes his gun out and shoves it right in her face. "Where do you get off saying that?" And the captain then says, "If this case is about cookies, you're going to have to go talk to him." we cut to a penitentiary, Oz, high security, and Richard Mall from Night Court is there telling Colt and Luger, don't hand him any sharp objects, sewing tools, or condiments.
Yeah.
And so they approach, and it's they meet Leecher.
Yeah.
Harold Leecher, I think, as opposed to
Hannibal Lecter.
So clearly, Silence of the Lambs send up. They walk up to his cell. There's a Garfield cling on the on the cell, and for some reason there are gigantic bottles of condiments in the cell.
And it's such a dumb joke too. Also here because it's clearly this like floor to ceiling glass wall, and they're standing there, and then he pops up and scares them both. Like, it's a glass wall. You saw him there.
Yeah. So we have some Hannibal Lecter shtick there, which works well enough. Leecher again is played by the esteemed F. Murray Abraham.
Oh yeah.
He starts grilling them with questions that have nothing to do with anything. There's an incredibly stupid line here. He's trying to grill them and throw them off their game. He turns to Colt. Tell me about the worst meal you ever had. And Colt just kind of like stutters. It was a fish sandwich. And Luger cuts him off. Don't tell him anything. As if he was really revealing something incriminating.
Yeah, exactly.
It was a fish sandwich.
Don't tell him anything.
Leecher then gives them the feedback they're looking for. Turns to Colt. Look to a man with whom you were involved. And, of course, we get a couple cutaways of Colt running on the beach hand in hand with a couple of different men.
Yeah.
No, not that one.
Like he can see his thoughts.
He can see Colt's imagining and recalling these memories. Leecher reveals General Mortars is who is behind this. Colt, of course, knows Mortars from Vietnam. So outside the prison, they go to the valet to get their car because there's valets everywhere in this movie.
Yeah.
And this valet is played, of course, by Charlie Sheen.
Right.
As they're talking to Charlie Sheen and he goes to get the car, the Mr. Potato Head joke gets paid off here.
Yeah, it does.
As Colt and Luger are talking to each other, you see a guy with a Mr. Potato Head, the same look.
It looked just like the modeled Potato Head from two scenes ago.
Yeah. And I love as they're pulling Potato Head on and off the screen, he's yelling, "Don't fry me."
I missed that.
Just so dumb. And then they get their car and they start to connect. They reveal they both had partners that they've lost. Of course, Luger lost York, and Colt lost Claire. We get another dumb gag here where they're talking about the evidence they're finding, and I think we're being followed.
Oh, I love this bit too.
So Luger says, "I think we're being followed." He looks at his rearview mirror, and we cut to a different shot, and there's two ski masked men in the back seat of the car, and of course they start then making small talk, like they have to not reveal anything,
right?
And then Luger kind of leans over to Colt. "I'm going to try to lose him."
Well, first, Colt starts to turn, and Luger goes, "Don't look."
Yeah. So Luger
we know they're there. Don't look.
Don't let him know that we know they're there. So Luger just spins the car out into like a 180, and just skids off in the back in the other direction. And of course, the masked men are gone. They lost him.
I lost him.
We cut to Dennis Leary in a fancy house, playing a piano and singing "You Really Got Me."
Yeah.
Surrounded by four buxom women in red dresses, one whom played by a very young film debuted Denise Richards.
Yeah, this is Dennis Leary in your like Robert Palmer role.
Yeah. Like a silk robe kind of thing. Yeah.
Yeah. Just surrounded by, hot dancing women that sing backup.
Yeah. So they're playing and they're having a grand old time, and then Jigsaw and Mortar enters. Mortars to let McCracken, Dennis Leary's character, know that he means business, shoves his face into a piranha tank and pulls out a piranha with his teeth as Jigsaw rolls his eyes.
This is, then they start like just trading quotations.
And of course, Mortars gets the upper hand, and then they shoot and kill McCracken because McCracken let York have the microfilm. So that's the connection there. Later, let's see, the next day, Luger and Colt, they pull up to a hostage situation at the Squealers Hotel. There's an informant there who has some information. As they pull up, there's a hostage situation there at the hotel that just so there happens to be this going on there.
Multiple hostage situations.
Luger gets on a megaphone, and of course we get another gag. He yells into the megaphone, but he's speaking Japanese. He then looks at the megaphone. It's because it's made in Japan.
Yeah. Just silly.
Just dumb throwaway humor. He orders the terrorists to come out. Of course, they start firing everywhere.
Because he tells them, come out with your hands down and your guns up.
Yeah. And they open fire everywhere. And one cop stands up and fires one shot back. And of course, Luger just turns around. Who fired that shot?
It's Corey Feldman.
It's Corey Feldman. And Corey Feldman's like, I was just trying to help. And Luger takes his gun until you can follow orders. You don't get this back. Because Luger's a by the book cop.
Yes, he is, and a solid parent.
Yeah, as opposed
until we actually meet his family.
Yeah, which we'll come up to that in a moment. Another cop starts laughing. Well, they're there. It turns out this is a cop played by Phil Hartman, who, for my money, is the best Saturday Night Live cast member of all time.
Oh yeah, I could agree.
Yeah,
I love Phil Hartman.
Love Phil Hartman. Luger says, "Well, what's so funny? Maybe you can make us all laugh." So Phil Hartman then walks off camera and onto a stand-up comedy stage, complete with brick backdrop and solo microphone, and he proceeds to tell a couple
just really dumb jokes. Yeah.
Because he was told go make
comedian,
me laugh. Yeah. They then enter the motel, and we get another one of my favorite gags in this movie. J.T. Walsh, the great J.T. Walsh, is working the front desk at this hotel, and for some reason he has two fistfuls of dynamite in his hands. But
right,
you never really get that explained, but in memory is kind of fuzzy. Yeah, it would help if I had a picture. Luger then pulls a T-shirt out of his jacket that has a picture of York on it. And Walsh is like, I don't know. I still don't know it. Well, will this freshen your memory?
Yeah. Luger got anything more current?
Yeah. Luger pulls a gurney up that has York's corpse on it. And also, during the gag, when he shows her the T-shirt, is that her? No, that's her picture.
Right, yeah. I know. That literal humor just cracks me up. Is that her? No, that's her picture.
No, that's her picture. They go upstairs. They hear gunshots. They come across Starsky and Hutch up there in a gun.
No,
fight.
it was Starsky and Hutch. It was Chips.
Oh, that's right. Chips. Yes, yeah. I stand corrected. Enter the room. They find the room. Becker is the informant's name, and Becker Oz is played by the one and only John Lovitz.
John Lovitz.
Oh, I love me some John Lovitz.
I do too.
They get into some back and forth. Becker is literally laundering money.
Yeah.
and they tell him
he's just so whiny and weaselly.
Yeah. It's like, again, it's the Joe Pesci role from Lethal Weapons 2 on. It's just perfect.
Mm-hmm.
They tell Becker, we can protect you. And of course, after saying that, he's riddled with bullets from behind him through a window. We cut to just a little bit later outside of the hotel. Becker's on a gurney. Am I gonna make it? And Luger tells him, "Yeah, you're gonna be fine." They then zip up the body bag that he's in,
right.
and just toss him into the corner, man. Oh God, the gags in this movie just don't stop. They then pull up to McCracken's. A different valet takes Luger's car. They walk in. There's more sight gags everywhere. Two cops are taking pictures with the Larry Bird stand up. There's guys, they're talking about interior decorating, like what they could do better with the house. There's a new one of the cops there has a new dog on the force, Sport, which Colt really takes a liking to. We then get another
around on the floor with
him. We then get another bit with Irv Proctor from from Police Academy. You want to take this one, Oz?
Yeah, he's sitting again. He's just doing detective work, and Luger comes up and what's the matter? And he takes his shoe off, and his foot is literally on fire. Like, I just got the itchy burning sensation of my foot.
Cry because your foot's on fire. As this scene ends, the dog Sport is burying McCracken's body in the yard.
Right, yeah, because it's McCracken just turned up missing during the investigation.
Right, he didn't get up and walk away.
They lose a body as they're investigating.
Crime scene. Luger and Colt then decide to follow up on this Wilderness Girl thing, because there was cookies at York's and now there's cookies here at McCracken's. So they go to the Wilderness Girl cookie headquarters to question Destiny. Was it misdemeanor or whatever? Destiny demeanor.
Destiny demeanor.
That's right. Misdemeanor was her name. As they walk in, Colt
I love this gag.
Mary O'Brien, the bucktooth, freckled-faced, pigtailed girl from 9th grade. We then cut to the woman who is bucktooth, freckled-faced, has pigtails. No, how can I help you?
Did you catch this? I miss this every time until this viewing. When this lady is walking Colton Luger down to Demeanor's office, I don't know how I missed it every other time I've seen this movie, but the face Samuel L. Jackson is making as they're walking, he's just visually making fun of the way she looks.
Again,
it's so cruel, but it's so funny.
For our listening audience, again, this character who's leading them back, this like assistant, again has buck teeth. And Luger is walking just behind her and just over her shoulder, and he's just making like the bucktooth face at her the whole time.
Right. He's like looking at her side eye as he's doing it. I don't know why. I mean, well, it's probably because there's like
there's another sight gag behind that too.
Yeah, it's like that's just the layers of humor in this movie that I've seen. I don't know how many times I've seen this movie, and I've never seen Luger making that face until this time.
So they meet Misdemeanor, Destiny Demeanor. Why don't you make yourselves at home? But Colt proceeds to take his pants off.
Right.
Clearly, Oz, Misdemeanor and Colt are attracted to each other. She says she hates violence. She has a giant ice block in her office, which she takes an ice pick and makes carves here. Colt and Destiny then start really flirting with each other. They lick their lips. They make kissy faces at each other. She gives a big toothy smile. She has like broccoli stuck in her teeth. Oh yeah, it's like everywhere too. It's like several teeth.
It's like seaweed wrapped around her canines. It's gross.
And I love the reaction shot after that. It goes back to Colt. He just has kind of like a look at his face.
Even they cut to Luger, and Luger even kind of winces at it, like, "Oh, that's gross."
Colt then dumps the snow coat on his head, and steam escapes.
Yeah.
And then, they ask if they could take her downtown to headquarters for questioning, and she asks if she can change first. So she takes her hair out, kind of puts her head down and whips it back up to kind of straighten her hair. And it's a different actress now as Destiny Demeanor. It's the one and only early 90s supermodel Kathy Ireland.
Yes.
So we went from one actress to another. Destiny is now Kathy Ireland.
I was very fond of early 90s supermodel Kathy Ireland.
Mm-hmm. Coming of age.
She's fun to look at when you were a teen in the early 90s.
Sure. I don't disagree. So they take her down to HQ and they interrogate her Basic Instinct style. So the infamous scene from that movie where Sharon Stone's character is getting grilled by the detectives, and we see a little,
gratuitous shot.
Yes, and not the body part that you see often in movies as well.
No.
So we get the lead into that. So they're asking her questions. There's a whole there's stadium seating in this room.
Oh yeah.
And there's 40 guys in there. And by the time they're done grilling her with questions, most of them are in their boxer shorts and tank tops, sweaty,
so gross.
Sweaty, and steam everywhere.
What have they been doing?
Yeah. Of course, for some,
you ever been to a Turkish bathhouse, Billy?
Exactly. Yeah, not too dissimilar from that.
Right.
Of course, Beckard, Lovitz's character, shows back up because he's not dead.
Because he's never dead.
and of course, he's his slimy, Weasley self. You sleep in the nude. Only when I'm naked. Colt then drops Destiny back off the Wilderness Girls. As they're walking, he waits for her to hold the door for him, which is just I don't know why.
It's just so dumb.
But it works. So Colt leaves, and Mortars and Jigsaw are there, and they say they know where the microfilm is. Colt goes to leave. Jigsaw gets the drop on him and pulls a gun, and he says, "I'm your worst nightmare." To which Colt replies, "No, waking up without my penis is my worst nightmare."
Just so calm. No, you're not.
Luger then arrives, Oz, and here I think I can speak for you, one of our favorite moments in the whole movie. Luger arrives, pulls a gun. Well, first of all, he doesn't have a gun. So
Right.
Jigsaw kicks Colt's gun over him. Pick up the gun. Drop the gun.
Oh man!
So Luger's holding the gun, and Colt just starts screaming, "Come on, partner, shoot him! Shoot him! Shoot him! Shoot him! Shoot him!
Shoot him!
And Luger literally just starts shaking the gun everywhere. We then get a little quick flashback to in his earlier days in the Force, Luger with York. York has a gun held to her. However, this gun is actually a finger gun from a mime.
Right. Who's still smiling that mime smile? She's like, shoot him! Shoot him!
She's yelling it. And he's panicking then, and it cuts back to him in the present panicking now. Oh, and so he drops the gun. Jigsaw runs off. There's the scene of Colt rolling on the ground and shooting and blah blah blah.
Right.
They end up just speeding things up a little bit here. They end up back at Luger's house because in Lethal Weapon, Murtaugh has a loving family, and that's what
he's a family.
Brings Riggs around. Except here at Luger's house, his wife is clearly cheating on him. Clearly cheating.
Oh yeah, with a stock boy at a grocery store, who's still dressed as a stock boy at a grocery store.
One of the kids reminds Luger, it's Mom's bowling with the Teamsters night. Colt's sitting at the table, and the daughter starts playing footsie with him, a la from the first Lethal Weapon. The son then starts playing footsie. Then the dogs
Yeah, just the side eye from the sun as he's got that grin on his face. So gross. It.
The dog's paw comes in. And Colt starts with his foot kind of batting everybody away, and he kind of not hard, but he kind of like stops on the dog's paw a little bit, and the dog just kind of gives a whimper, not because he's in pain, but because he's been rejected.
Yeah.
Colt then goes home. His trailer door is open, Oz. He enters gun drawn, does the gun roll thing again.
Because they don't let it die, it's just so funny.
Well, that's this whole movie is just not letting jokes die.
Oh, yeah.
It's 83 minutes of jokes not dying. So Destiny's inside, wearing a super sexy black dress. There's hundreds of candles. She couldn't find the light switch. You get the idea, Destiny's...
Yeah. What's for all the candles? Couldn't find the light switch. So what are you doing here? How'd you get here? Taxi. just this back and forth, just literal
Yeah.
conversation that.
What? My car's in the shop.
Right.
He literally holds up a sign with like words on it. Like, why did you come here? She admits she knows who's responsible for the cocaine and the cookies. It's Mortars. He's using the Wilderness Girls to sell cocaine. We then get some more hot and heavy back and forth between Destiny and Colt here. He blows in her ear and it goes straight through. Makes the bottle sound if you blow it at the top of the bottle.
Yeah,
I love it.
Her hair puffs out a little bit,
and he breaks the fourth wall and looks at the camera. Yeah. They compare scars. He has a nickel lodged in his side from nickel beer night at Dodger Stadium.
Yeah. Yeah, this was Renee. Was this a Lethal Weapon movie?
Yes, yeah, it was. This was it was a spoof of Lethal Weapon 3. He and Rene Russo's character comparing stuff.
Yeah, I knew Rene Russo, but I've never seen I don't think I've ever seen Lethal Weapon 2. I think I've just seen the first one.
You don't really need to see 3 or 4. 2's fun. Lethal Weapon 2 is fun.
Yeah.
They compare scars. They go to bed together for literally 1 minute. Cuts back to them smoking in bed. that whole bit.
I love later. Colt, do you think next time we could do more than just smoke cigarettes?
Yeah, I guess.
Well, maybe.
He's so just meh. We get another one of my favorite gags here. He gets out of bed and takes a stroll across his mansion, mansion of a trailer, and he, of course he's naked, walking away from the camera, and so you get the clear shot of what is clearly a fake butt on top of his butt.
A very oiled up fake butt.
Where are you going, Colt? Nowhere. Just going for one of those unmotivated butt in the moonbeam walks. We then cut to a helicopter outside approaching the beach, approaching a trailer, and there's a sniper in there, starts lighting the trailer up with machine gun fire, hits the gas tank, and it explodes. Oz. Who emerges from the trailer?
John McClane. Yep. Hit the wrong beach house, the beach trailer. So then with a whirling helicopter in the sky, they start having a conversation.
Is this 1043 Pacific Coast Highway?
No. it's down that way. Sorry. Again, in a whirling helicopter in the sky. Like, there's no way you can hear each other, which is why it's funny.
Oh, skipping ahead a little bit. So this is a send-up of the Lethal Weapon 2 scene where Murtaugh is on the toilet. A bomb has been rigged to his toilet, and Riggs has to go in and save him. And so Colt busts in on Luger in the bathroom, and you think it's going to be a send-up of that. Right. What's wrong? Nothing. Taking a
dump.
Oh, okay. And then you just hear the toilet flush.
Oh, man.
Oh, back at HQ, they tell the captain of their findings. The captain says the case is closed. We get another flashback of why Luger is so responsible. He was a crossing guard. An old woman gets hit and the walker just flies at young Luger. And speaking of bits, again, I've seen this movie probably 50 times.
Uh-huh.
And I noticed a bit in this scene I'd never noticed before. The young Luger in this flashback scene is wearing a name tag that says Wes Luger at 12 years old. So they go after Colt decides to go after Mortars. So we got the Act 3 scene here. He approaches the Wilderness Girls factory. He goes in through the sewer. He emerges in the middle of the 1990 Ninja Turtles movie.
Right, yeah.
Then emerges in the factory. He and Jigsaw get in a fight on kind of a catwalk.
I love how Colt ends up on this catwalk and Jigsaw is also on the catwalk, but he's got like a chair and a little TV stand with a TV on it. Like he's been waiting for a long period of time for Colt to show up on this specific catwalk.
There's a really quick fight. Basically, Colt knocks Jigsaw off. Jigsaw lands on the floor below. next to a chalk outline. He then moves himself over so that he's in the chalk outline. We then cut to Destiny pulling a gun on Mortars. She says she hates how she's been used to lure Colt here. She says she loves Colt. Colt then arrives, and Mortars reveals he has Becker as a hostage because there he is again.
Why not?
Yeah. And Claire is there. He also has Claire as a hostage, his missing dog partner, significant other, whatever Claire is.
Yeah, whatever.
He and Becker are there as hostages. Colt somehow has the microfilm at this point.
Right.
Destiny that shoots Mortars in the arm. And then Colt, Jigsaw emerges again. Colt kicks Jigsaw through a pane of glass that two men are carrying. then we get a fun little scene here of a literal line of stunt people with like a take a ticket thing, taking a ticket and walking up to get like beat up by Colt and then walk through or get kicked through a pane of glass.
A pane of glass. One of which the guy has to stop and wait for the pane of glass to be in position before he can continue his crash through.
Exactly. Destiny then pushes Colt out of the way as Mortars takes a shot and hits Destiny. She's on the ground, Oz, and unfortunately Destiny's not too long for this world.
She's so cold.
She's so cold. It's probably because she has the 2 bags of ice on her legs.
Exactly. So he tosses those off. Is that better?
Thanks. She then tells Colt, "Kiss me," as she's coughing up blood. And if you're listening closely, you hear this just awful, wretched, like gurgling sound.
Oh yeah. She's just hacking and
kiss
coughing.
Me, Colt. And he's like, I have a touch of the flu. Colt then eventually tracks down Mortars. There's an incredibly funny dirty joke that I'm not going to recite, but
I know. I love this one.
But it's incredibly funny. We then get another Luger shows up, and then we get another. Come on, shoot him! And this time, go ahead and take it, Oz.
No, I was saying, this time Luger's decided he's not going to play it by the book, and he actually does. He's even Mortars calls him on it.
Yeah.
You're a cop. You can't do it. You do things by the book. Not this time. Shoot him.
And Colt initially reacts like he's been hit in the stomach. Yeah. He goes, "Oh, kidding. Just kidding." And then they leave, and then they're in the car leaving, Oz, and they're like, "Didn't we forget something?" And Becker, Claire, and Destiny all pop up in the back seat, and they do the Wayne's World Bohemian Rhapsody as they're leaving. And that, folks, is 1993's National Lampoon's Loaded Weapon 1. I'm looking at the clock, and I spent way too much time talking about this, but I love this movie so much.
I do too, and that's okay. That's okay.
So, folks, we're at that time in the show where Oz and I each give our own unique rating about the movie we've been yapping about. In this case, National Lampoon's Loaded Weapon 1. Oz, how would you rate this flick?
I'm going to give this 9 pieces of microfilm.
Microfilm.
What are you giving it?
I'm giving this movie 100 out of 100 gratuitous stuffed beavers.
There you go. Before we jump into the next part, I want to pay a little attention to the writer and director of this movie.
Please do so.
Gene Quintano. Like, good for this guy, because I'm going through his filmography right here. He's only directed 3 movies, but he's written a lot.
Mm-hmm.
He wrote Police Academy 3. He wrote Police Academy 4.
Mm-hmm.
And then in 1990, he wrote another movie called Honeymoon Academy, which I'm assuming is not a police academy. But he also wrote Operation Dumbo Drop and the Jean-Claude Van Damme movie Sudden Death.
I know. Which one of these is not like the other?
He wrote The Musketeer and Funky Monkey. And just to show you how much Disney has changed, He wrote an episode of The Wonderful World of Disney. The episode was entitled Confessions of an Ugly Stepsister. So it's like, this was literally his diamond in the rough.
Yeah.
Like, you know, not to go off of 2 weeks ago where, you know, we had our diamonds in the rough. But
yes.
yeah. So but this is his magnum opus. Like,
yes.
For this guy, this movie, at least for the two of us, is like masterpiece theater. Job well done. He never had this, and he never had it again. But the stars aligned for Mr. Eugene Quintano.
Bully for you, Gene Quintano.
True.
Next up, folks, we've got Outside Insights. Oz and I have been scouring the interwebs, looking for unprofessional reviews that tickle our funny bones, and we hope they tickle yours too. Oz, what is your Outside Insight?
Oh, it's not a good one.
Uh-oh.
But I do believe this is from Anton. Left on January 23rd of this year, so not long ago. Anton, I'm assuming, is the food critic from Ratatouille. Now he's just doing movies.
Okay, well, he's got to review something.
This is a 1.5-star review, and it says, I have never finished this movie, but attempted to 4 times over the years. I always fall asleep around the time John Lovitz shows up. Since it's fresh in my mind, this film is a really bad one of these. I think I smirked twice. If you want a good one of these, check out Angie Tribeca instead.
One of these?
He doesn't say what it is.
No.
It's just one of these.
This guy's got an air of mystery about him.
Yeah. It's fresh in my mind, despite the fact that I've never finished this movie. But that's that's Anton's 1.5-star review. What kind of review, what kind of outside insight do you have?
I got a couple I'm going to bring to the table. The first one is a 10 out of 10.
Good.
And it's one sentence. I liked the bit where he rolled his head round heaps before he shot someone. 10 out of 10.
I liked it.
I liked it. The next one is also a 10 out of 10. This movie is the most funniest movie I've ever seen in my whole life. The only minus in this movie is Tim Curry. Nothing else. There is not 1 second where you don't laugh. It would be impossible. Sorry if there are mistakes in this note. I'm Danish and I'm not that good at English yet.
Oh, good for you.
Yeah.
Good for you.
Yes, he put his insecurities, his linguistic insecurities aside.
I apologize for my grammatical misunderstandings.
Yes.
I am Danish. And Tim Curry's a failure.
I'm going to throw one more at you, Oz.
All right.
This is an 8 out of 10. Why wasn't there a sequel to this? I'll be buggered. When I went to see this, it was the last time I was ushered into a seat. The cinema was that full. I last remember that happening with the first Police Academy movie.
Oh, this is a reviewer of my heart. I like the Police Academy movies again because they're just so dumb.
Mm-hmm.
But
not too unlike this.
No, they're far less spoofy. Like this, they're a little bit more straight plotted, original idea kind of thing, but they're just so dumb.
Well, again, there's the Gene Quintano influence.
3 and 4,
well.
Mr. Gene Quintano.
All right, folks, it's that time in the show you've all been waiting for, the 3-2-1, where Oz and I each share 3 goods, 2 bads, and 1 about the movie in question. In this case, National Lampoon's Loaded Weapon 1. Oz, what are your 3 goods?
Oh, my first one, and we've referenced it all episode long. Just the background jokes aplenty. All the sight gags, them playing limbo in the background at York's death, the car transport truck outside of York's, the Larry Bird cutout photo session. Like, just again, if you're watching the actors, you're gonna laugh. If you're watching the background, you're gonna laugh. Like this, like a good joke. This movie's got layers, and it's great. My second one was almost Tim Curry. It was. I deleted it, but I changed it to how confident and straight Sam Jackson played Luger.
Yes.
Clearly, he played it all straight. There was very few like goofy reactions like Emilio Estevez had, but really everybody in this movie played it straight. But just the confidence in Sam Jackson just made every joke hit. And he sold it like it was it's just like he was Luger. And to segue that, and I'm glad we didn't reference it in the show, is my favorite joke from this. I know we use the shoot him a lot. My favorite joke from this movie is at Becker's, when Becker is clearly lying to them, and Luger holds up a matchbook and says, "These matches say you're." Oh, these matches say you're.
I forgot that.
He goes, "These matches say you're lying," and he hands it to Becker, and it's for like the squealer or whatever. And and he opens it up, and it just says "You're lying" on the inside flap. Oh my god! I love that joke because again, it's just so simple. Like everything in that conversation is legit. And then he opens it up and the actual words are in there. And that's where the joke is. And it's just so simple and so funny. So those are my three goods. How about you?
I can't believe I forgot to mention.
I'm glad.
These matches say you're lying.
I almost jumped in and shared it, but I'm like, no, because I have that as a good. So I'm going to pocket that and save it for later.
Yeah. I'm clearly doing the thing that I do, Oz, when it's my turn and I'm talking about a movie that I absolutely love, where I go too far because I'm afraid of leaving things out, and I left something.
That's okay.
Out.
Well, but it's also that thing you do where because you're so excited, you go very deep, and then you probably check the time, and then you're like, oh crap. and then
which I did.
Yeah, I know. And because at one point you just went blah blah blah, and then you just kind of but again, this is the perfect movie where it's okay if you zip through the third act, because the plot, like you said, the plot is razor thin. But that's not what this movie's about. This movie's about the jokes, and they all land. So what are your three goods?
My three goods, I'm gonna go with my first one is that this movie, it came out in 1993, so it hit HBO or whatever in like 94, and formative time in my life, and I came across this movie at such a great time. Like this was when like The Simpsons were in their stride, and like Conan had just started, and like it was this kind of thing that really like had just such a huge influence on my sense of humor and in some ways even my identity,
right,
as just kind of a like schmucky kid who really, as dumb as this movie is and as lost in time as this movie is, it has influenced me. My second good is the Destiny cult flirting scene at the Wilderness Girls. This like sexy music is playing, and it's just this stupid back and forth. It's like he
like flicking their tongues on the ice,
like making
the snow cone.
making like and like making kissy faces, and like you could hear them doing it. And then like he dumps a snow cone on his head, and she's got the broccoli in her teeth, and it's just great. My last one, I'm gonna go with I'll say John Lovitz. It's John Lovitz in some, again, I love John Lovitz, but kind of like Jack Black, what we've talked about, like a little bit of Lovitz could go a long way. And it was the perfect amount of John Lovitz, and he's so good at playing just these like snivelly, whiny, like kind of like innocently slimy characters, and he nailed it in this movie. Just
like a rage.
Yeah, right. You sleep in the nude. Why don't you let them go? Why do you let me go and keep everybody else?
You can't get rid of me that easy. I'm like a rage.
That's one of your two bads.
My first bad is the runtime. It's just not long enough. Like,
you want more.
I do, because we've watched a lot of comedies or a lot of movies in general. Even last week, like Chopping Mall, the time was perfect because too much more. What are you going to fill it with? But this movie's like, I want more. Like, what jokes did not make the movie. Like, I want to see those too, because they did a great job of trimming the fat, because everything they kept worked. And my second is Kathy Ireland is just not a good actress.
No, she's not. She's terrible.
But that's not why she's in this movie. She's in this movie because in 1993 she was the most beautiful woman in the world, and we got her for cheap. But with that being said, she does have some acting talent. She's just not a good actress. No. And that is still somewhat of a compliment. I know it sounds kind of backwards. Mm-hmm. I would much rather have a model with some acting talent, that's just not a good actress, but I'm still calling her an actress. This isn't like Cindy Crawford in Fair Game, where Cindy Crawford, where it's like, where she's just a supermodel on scene. Like Kathy Ireland, she did okay,
Yeah.
But was
that Billy Baldwin?
Yeah, it was Billy Baldwin. Yeah. Yeah. He drew the long straw of the Baldwin brothers of like, who's going to be in this movie and make out with Cindy Crawford repeatedly? I'll do it. But like Kathy Ireland, this wasn't the only movie she was in. I mean, she did fine.
Yeah. I think you were about to reference Necessary Roughness, right? She's the place kicker in Necessary.
Yeah, exactly.
Roughness.
And it's like, and again, but it's nice to see. It's like she wasn't ever going to win any awards, but she's a good team player.
Bad is I'm gonna say not enough Tim Curry.
Yeah,
because like you said, you cut him from your goods. I loved him every time he was on screen, but just not enough Tim Curry.
Wilderness. I can't even say it the way he said it.
Wilderness girls.
We have to meet our quota.
I'm your worst nightmare.
Microfilm.
Microfilm. Tim Curry's great in this. I just wanted more Tim Curry. Kind of like you wanted a longer runtime. You could add another 10 minutes of Tim Curry.
Give us more Tim Curry.
Doing that dumb accent.
Hell, just give us 10 more minutes of Phil Hartman doing dumb stand-up.
I would love that. 10 more minutes of Luger admonishing Corey Feldman.
I would just do it.
My second bad is how come no Loaded Weapon 2?
I know.
I think I read in the trivia they were originally going to make it, but studio reasons it didn't get done.
And this was, this is a New Line movie, and New Line at that time was still the house that Freddie built. Mm-hmm. And so they were yet to be, they really hadn't branched out a lot in stuff yet. They struck gold in 85, 84, 85 with Nightmare on Elm Street. And then, of course, kept riding that horse, made a lot of money, and then did a little bit of stuff. And so really outside of, between Nightmare on Elm Street and Lord of the Rings, name anything else that New Line put out. Mm-hmm. It wasn't much. And so I could see, even though this movie made like 6 times its budget, I could see Robert Shea still being a little conservative and being like, like sequels never tend to do better than the, blah, blah, blah. And, not that New Line didn't make any movies, but this was still somewhat early for them.
Oh yeah, no Loaded Weapon 2. That's my other bad.
No, yeah, other movies. Just to shout real quick,
sure.
Other movies of New Line in the '90s. I'm just gonna roll through kind of quick. Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3, House Party, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles made a mint for those guys.
That was like proportionally like the highest grossing movie ever or something like that.
Like independent film, big time.
Until Blair Witch.
Yeah. But again, rolling through here, like Far Out Man, Chicago Joe and the Showgirl, Metropolitan, Pump Up the Volume with Christian Slater, Masters of Menace, Fools of Fortune, Repossessed. Repossessed was that Linda Blair Exorcist spoof.
Yeah.
King of New York was distributed. Alligator 2, Book of Love, Man Inside, Caden. So The Guyver was this kind of weird sci-fi horror film.
That was Mark Hamill, wasn't it?
Yeah, Mark Hamill. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2, which of course was like an Andrew Dice Clay movie, Dice Rules, Drop Dead Fred, Beastmaster 2, It's like Suburban Commando, House Party 2, Critters 3, The Lawnmower Man, Poison Ivy, Iron Eagle 3, Twin Peaks Fire Walk with Me, Critters 4, and then Loaded Weapon 1. So, like, it probably was for New Line, probably a big budget movie.
Yeah.
$8 million, when you consider some of the stuff I just rattled off, and that, of course, wasn't everything. And then even after that, Menace to Society did well, and that was 93. Surf Ninjas. Then they started taking some gambles. Like, I know Surf Ninjas. But it's like Needful Things. They had a Stephen King. Gettysburg.
New Line did Gettysburg? Wow.
Yeah. Released by Turner Pictures, but produced by, so Man's Best Friend was this dog horror film. 8 Seconds was like a cowboy movie.
That Luke Perry? 8 Seconds?
Yeah, Luke Perry. But it's like they really kind of broke free from some of that horror stuff.
Yeah.
Wes Craven's New Nightmare in 94, Dumb and Dumber in 94. And then you start jumping into In the Mouth of Madness, Don Juan DeMarco, Basketball Diaries, Friday was a hit for him.
Yeah.
Mortal Kombat, Angus, and then 7 in 95. So it's like, I know I'm just rattling on here, but I could understand, even though I don't like it, I can understand their decision, because this movie was star-studded, really. I mean, even though they weren't huge at the time, but they had a lot of names in this movie.
Yeah. Well, Sam Jackson was going to be a lot more expensive the second time around after what happened with his career.
Yeah, and so I can understand where they were like,
Yeah.
But I don't agree with it. I still think they should have made another one for us. They should have made it
just for us.
Come on.
All right, Oz, what's your one
How did York's peephole see through all of those doors? Because she opens it up and she looks, and then I knowing the gag was coming, I looked at every door that she opened after that one, and not a single peephole. So I don't know how the peephole on the most inner door saw clearly outside through all of those doors, including the beads. So it was probably an inspiration for Ring doorbells.
It probably was.
Yeah,
that's where they got the idea.
You could have had 7 doors and still seen it from your ring. So that's my What's your
My is going all the way back to the beginning when they're in the mini mart. Where can I get a turbo chug sized soda?
Yeah,
I want 2,000 ounces of cola.
It's one of the off menu items at 7-Eleven.
Yeah, is it?
Yeah,
off menu at 7-Eleven.
Yeah, right. Well, if you ask for it, they'll go in the back and get you your turbo chug. There's no room on the floor. So
did I ever tell you the story of how I tricked Deb one time?
No. It's probably not hard to do. So
my esteemed stepmother Deb. She was up here.
Hold on. Yes. Needless to say, she's not Patreon subscriber stepmother Deb. So if you're listening, Deb, come on.
Cough off that change. Just to do it, you literally click the link that says Patreon.
All right.
Then you give us money. That's how it works.
Just send it to her.
Yeah,
she'll just start mailing you a check every month.
Just send me a check.
It says Patreon in the memo.
In the memo, Patreon, or it's made out the Patreon.
Did I do that right, Kurt?
Yep. So she's up here visiting with my dad, and this is several years ago. I think it was pre-daughter. So it's the two of them and Patreon subscriber Melissa L and I in the vehicle, and we're in the town I'm in, and we passed by a Shell station, and the Shell station at the time, they had like their little snack bar with with sodas and stuff like that,
yeah.
And outside there was, and they used to call it Polar Pop, like that was their thing. It was called Polar Pop was like their brand of soda. And so outside the Shell there was a big gas tanker, and on the side it said, and on the tanker there's a big Polar Pop ad. So I just say, Hey Deb, that's they must have run out of Polar Pop. They got the new shipment there. Wow, that's a lot of Polar Pop.
Yeah. So they ship it, Deb.
That's it. How do you think they get it there? Set it in a 53-foot tanker.
It's one of the top Polar Pop stores in the nation.
Woodstock really goes through a lot of Polar Pop.
Yeah, they do. Oh, poor Deb. I love you, Deb.
We love you, Deb. But
oh my. Oh, that wraps up Loaded Weapon 1. Week 2 of Guilty Pleasure.
This episode runtime is going to be longer than the runtime for Loaded Weapon.
It's already there.
Yes, we're there.
We clipsed it by a minute.
Oh God. So this month is off to a rollicking start, Oz.
Yeah.
Shopping mall, Loaded Weapon.
And what better way to cement the status of Guilty Pleasure than to have our first guest next week?
Our first guest.
We will be joined next week by Rotten Tomatoes verified reviewer and host of Every Movie Has a Lesson website and co-founder of the Chicago Indie Critics Organization. We will be joined by Patreon subscriber Don S. And his movie of choice for Guilty Pleasure, it'll be a first-time viewing for myself.
And me.
We will be watching Anaconda.
The 1997 classic.
Not to be confused with Anna Karenina. We're watching Anaconda.
Anaconda. Oh, not Anna Corinthians.
Yeah. Anna Carruthers. Anaconda. Jennifer Lopez, Ice Cube, John Voight, a giant snake.
I got a feeling that John Voight is going to act the butt off this movie.
I think so, yeah. It's like they had to get a CGI snake because there's no room. There was no room on set for anything outside of John Voight and his acting ability.
I got a feeling he went to the Tony Hopkins School of Acting for this movie.
Right. So we will have our first guest, episode 72. We will be joined with our first guest, and he will be bringing Anaconda to the table. So we will record sometime next week, and he's listened to enough of the show that we still like, hey, Don, you got to have a movie marriage. Like if you're joining, if you're on our show, you play by our rules.
You got to play by the rules, my friend.
All right, like you're no Luger. This is our book you're playing by.
Come on, partner, shoot him. Shoot him.
This matchbook says you're lying. And so, we'll definitely be back next week. Don S. will be joining us. We're very excited for that. I believe he's also very excited for that. Also, don't be surprised if you and I end up as guests on Cinephile Hissy Fit sometime in their next 100 episodes. But no, I'm looking forward to our first guest.
Yes.
My other podcast, I've had a couple of guests, but I mean, ones that I've known personally for a while. But this will be fun. This will be our first legit movie review. It'll be fun. I think he's excited. I know we're excited.
Yeah, we're gonna have a good time.
We'll be back next week.
We're gonna have a good time having a 3-way discussion about Anaconda.
So, Don, if you're listening to this, I hope you're ready because I'm not going to watch it. And neither are you, Curtis.
Nope.
It is but it's your movie, but you're still playing by our rules. So no, I'm going to watch it. I actually told my wife, she goes, "What are you guys watching next week?" I said Anaconda. She goes, "I'll watch that with you. I don't think I've seen it." So she didn't want to. She wasn't interested in Loaded Weapon 1.
Oh,
which is okay. It doesn't surprise me. I have to find balance in my life. I can't skew everything to that side. So that's okay. So yeah, social media wise, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. There's a link to Patreon if you do decide you would like to contribute. Feel free. If not, keep listening anyway. So we're gonna keep churning these out because we're on the road to 70,000.
We'll get there.
So, Yep. But I do want to cut this off before we hit the hour and a half mark for sure.
Yes.
So, and we'll see you next week as we discuss Anaconda with Don S.